Furia and Black Dragons may not be very close in the table, but if we look at the wider sentiment across the BR6 in 2021, they're very closely matched. In Stage 1, Furia won 7-3. In the second, it was the Dragons that came out on top, with a 7-4 scoreline.
Eu acho que a gente entrou um pouco frio no jogo, e eles entraram muito fortes no game, entraram encaixados, faltou a gente entrar mais firme no jogo, mais ligado.
Foi um jogo até que tranquilo, foi 7-4. Agora é ver como vai ser esse segundo, né? Temos que dar revanche depois dessa Elite Six aí, que a gente perdeu a vaga pro Major, e vamos com tudo.
Perez has already made it clear that this match involves much more than the 3 points on the line. In reality, during the quarter-final of the Copa Elite 6 Stage 2, Black Dragons suffered an embarrassing loss to Furia. Fantasy was let loose, and it showed.
Eu queria saber o que você sentiu dessa partida, né? Foi difícil, foi fácil, intermediário?
Pô, foi fácil, pô. Os caras que quiseram jogar com a gente, né?
All jokes aside, the situation of these two teams is somewhat different. While Furia fight with the teams at the top of the table, the Dragons are pushing to remain in the top 6 for the next Copa Elite 6. All Black Dragons is interested in is victory, regardless of the team's history.
Projeto o jogo de hoje como vitória. Pra mim, não tem outra coisa que eu consigo pensar, porque a gente tem que se vingar, né?
O jogo de hoje contra a BD a gente vem muito mais forte, eles vêm de mudança na line, né? Então eles estão tendo que passar por um tempo de adaptação e a gente tá vindo a milhão, né? Vamos amassar.
Many promises and many rivalries set the tone of today's meeting. Will there be a shake-up in the top 6 standings? Could this redefine the Copa Elite 6 and all that it entails? All this coming up next as Furia take on Black Dragons.
Well, I said it earlier on, this is probably looking like it could be one of the closest matchups. In the evening tonight, of course, we have that NIP phase next afterwards, but it's going to be an equally close one. Furia versus Black Dragons. Ollie, how about you run us through the roster of Furia, because we know how much you love them.
Gladly. I always enjoy an opportunity to talk about Furia in an unbiased way. Well, where do we start with these guys? We've got Miracle, we've got Fantasy, we've got Highs, we've got Rare, and we've got Lender. I'm going to go off order because I wasn't sure of the order, but I do know all of them, so it doesn't matter.
I think about them every day.
I've literally got them like plastered on my bedroom wall. No, jokes aside, Furia, what can we say about them? They're a fantastic team. They've made it out of groups in the last 2 international events that they have been to, being Mexico Major and Six Invitational. And they're currently a game behind pretty much everybody else aside from W7M here in the BR6, and yet they are still contending for the top spots based on Stage 3 results alone. So they're in a very good position to start to leapfrog that and really start to put a little bit of distance between them and some of their competition. They're just one of the most exciting teams to watch. There really is nothing left to say about it, and they've all got a wicked sense of humour as well. I particularly loved the meme that the Brazilian broadcast threw into that video that we just saw.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Gio, let's talk through Black Dragons for a second. This is a team that have been a little bit hit or miss, but they've shown promise.
Yeah, I mean, Black Dragons have had a kind of strange season just because they started off being the main core of what used to be FaZe Clan with Iron, Live, and Yuna. We don't have Yuna anymore. And then they brought in Perez and Resets for Stage 2. Resets has now been stolen by Team Liquid, so now they've got Baseto. So they've never had a real opportunity in this stage to settle down what their roster is, who they are. But one thing that they have done is consistently improve. Back in Stage 1, they had this mindless aggression, which was so much fun to watch, but a lot of the time very short-sighted and did not serve them well. These days, we get really good aggressive plays, but there is a lot more thought behind it. And I have to say, even though Baseto is new to the roster, I've been very impressed with the way that he plays. Yesterday, he showed a lot of diligence.
Yeah, I think Baseto has been a big influence on the roster, it feels like, Ollie. What do you think about that? Bringing on new players for the stage? It seems like it's worked out well for them so far.
It has, you know, and they've not really been given much opportunity to do anything else, right? You know, they've lost Resets to Team Liquid, so they've had to bring somebody in. And I think Baseto, for what he's done and for what he's brought, he's filled the gap quite well. Obviously, it's a team that has made a roster change pretty much every stage. I think that's fair to say. They certainly made one last stage, and then obviously moving into this one, bringing in Baseto as well. So the Black Dragons have never really found that consistency, yet still they've managed to occupy that middle to late part of the table. So there's got to be something to be said for that.
Yeah, obviously. Let's have a look over at the vetoes and see how things are looking for this matchup. Gio, do you want to run us through it?
Absolutely. Well, having a look at how these teams have played so far in this stage, if you're Black Dragons, I would say you probably don't want to go to Clubhouse, given that that is where you lost 0-7 to FaZe Clan. They've decided that they're going to get rid of Bank for their first one, haven't actually played it this stage just yet, so that's clearly just a precautionary measure. And then if we're having a look at Furia, you know, they did very well on Coastline against Team 1. We've seen them, they had a pretty good game on Coastline against Ninjas in Pajamas, so I'm kind of impressed the Black Dragons haven't eliminated Coastline just yet, given how Furia have done. They had a good game on Bank against Santos, so that could also go into Black Dragons' decision to get rid of it. With Oregon being off the board, again, an interesting one, given that we're expecting this to be a relatively close game. Oregon, again, is that sort of neutral ground to do that in. Now, what's left? We have Coastline. Okay, yep, finally gone. That means Cafe Dostoevsky is the last map that we'll be going to, which is a very interesting one because if I'm not mistaken, it was Black Dragons who had a bad game on this.
They've had two
week one.
Which one? There we go. Against MIBR. Yeah, MIBR, they lost 3-7 back on playday number 1.
I wonder how much of that, though, is going to be Furia just having a good knowledge of the other team and kind of forcing that map upon them. What do you think about this one, Ollie? Black Dragons, obviously, with not the best success rate over on this map.
I mean, Furia have got good results on this map of late. Black Dragons, again, maybe they've been sort of hightailed into this, you know, when it's a choice between whether you want to go to a Clubhouse or whether you want to go to a Coastline or a cafe. You know, you've not got the last ban, but you've got a little bit of a say in terms of what goes on there. I don't think that there's any significant way of winning that against Furia. The cafe is certainly an off-pick. It's not a popular one that we get to see very often here in Brazil, but it is a map that Furia have played a couple of times lately. They've got a reasonable win percentage on there of 3 players. They've won 2, lost 1. Whereas, you know, we've spoken about Black Dragons there and the fact that they did struggle quite greatly on Cafe at the start of the stage. They also have lost it to Furia previously, back inside of stage 2 in the Copa Elite 6. Furia actually are able to get the win 7-4 when they last played against one another on this map. So the confidence is certainly going to be in Furia's court.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough one here. Obviously, Furia a little bit higher on the leaderboards overall, Gio, but Black Dragons, if they can win this one, they're going to tie things up. Sorry, not tie things up, but they are actually going to overtake MIBR. So if Black Dragons are able to pull this one out, it's going to be looking good for them back into the top 6 and obviously into the chance of getting into the Copa Elite 6.
Yeah, I mean, this was the thing, right? So Black Dragons got to play in the Copa Elite 6 in Stage 2 because MIBR dropped out of the top 6. So there is this constant tussle between the two teams, trying to see who it is who's going to qualify into it. And MIBR have their own challenge to get back in. Black Dragons been looking, you know, all right. I think they need to step on the gas a little bit more. They haven't been doing terribly, but they haven't been doing their best. I mean, unless I'm mistaken, they haven't actually won a game so far in this stage. But their games have looked like they could have won. Like yesterday against Ninjas in Pajamas, it was actually a pretty decent game. So I agree, like this is going to be a relatively meaningful win for Black Dragons if they can get it, but given that Furia have just looked incredibly good not only here in Brazil, but on the international stage as well at the Mexico Major, it is still going to be a challenge.
Well, the challenge is about to begin over here on Cafe. Furia versus Black Dragons. Ollie, Gio, as always, take it away.
Thank you, Chunks. Game 3 of the night. Headed over to Cafe. Furia versus Black Dragons. Black Dragons kicking us off with the Thatcher ban. I think we've seen the Thatcher ban in every single game this stage.
Yeah,
It's
honestly,
exhausting.
when is it going to end?
It is absolutely exhausting.
Get Ubisoft to make a really, really overpowered attacker just so it takes up a ban slot.
Just put Lion back to release.
Yeah, let's do that.
Lion release, and then it's problem solved.
And then just call the attacker placeholder.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Or just ban me.
do an attacker that just, like, you know, blows up the entire map in one go, and they have to be banned.
It would make a lot of sense at this point. Hibana and Cade coming through as the second two bans. Rounding us out with the Wamai. A lot of Wamai banning today as well.
Yeah.
Furia starting off on the attack here. Cafe is notoriously difficult to attack onto, and I think if there's any advantage that Black Dragons can glean from this this whole situation, it is going to be the fact that they are starting off on the defense. We've seen pretty much every single different side of Black Dragons over this stage so far. Their last game was probably one that they could do with forgetting. It was FaZe 7-0 in them over on I believe Villa. Over on Clubhouse, excuse me. Prior to that, Black Dragons have seen some good success. They were able to get an easy victory over INT. So we really have seen either side of the coin here with this team. And it's a little bit like a box of chocolates. You really just do not know which team is going to show up on the day.
Well, I mean, straight up, we're seeing them go to mining for their first site, which is not what I expected. And to see that the Portuguese name for one of these rooms, and I'm not sure which one it is, I think it was the mining, was called, like, the Room of Bomba, whatever that means, de Purification, which is way cooler sounding than the English name.
It's a bit of a mouthful.
It is.
I think you have to shorten it for a call out.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I just think it's kind of cool, kind of spicy that they're going there for their first site anyway. This is typically the site that you're not going to see that much in competitive play. Oftentimes of the 4 sites, this is the one that gets ignored, whereas you go into ranked, you're more likely to see this one over the reading site, because the reading site requires a little bit more coordination to be able to successfully defend. So already they're throwing a bit of a spanner in the works, I would say. We'll see how it is that Furia managed to do this, you know, given that in theory this should be easier to attack than the other sites. Furia are pretty decent at that.
Fancy already getting himself in and trying to be a little bit of a menace on this ground floor, while the rest of his team are going for that top floor clear. One of the really time-consuming things about this map in general is that you've got to go for that top floor clear. You need to get yourself onto the roof. That typically takes anywhere between 20 and 40 seconds to do so, depending on if anybody's peeking you or if you've got to take your time. You maybe collect your drone on the way. There's all these things that really do slow you down as an attacker, and you need to be prepared to pretty quickly execute when you get in there. Now, it looks as though Furia have started that process. It is still taking a good deal of time.
Furia are going to have to be very vigilant about these, you know, soft holes that have been opened up on the top floor. Obviously, you can see that they're droning about anyway, but the whole idea is that those lines of sight can be used against anybody who are wanting to be coming in through the top floor. It actually looks like Black Dragons have recalled all of their defenders at this point. But look at the amount of time that has been used, right? They have managed to achieve what they needed to. First kill going from live, but immediately traded out. That's a really nice spot for Furia to be in, because it means that he doesn't just get that free kill. Toxie takes a ton of damage on top. So Black Dragon's looking a little bit worse for wear here, especially now that Iron's gone down.
Losing Iron, not ideal. You've, of course, lost C4 there as well, but Fancy's fallen on the opposite side. So these two teams really going blow for blow at the moment. 40 seconds left inside of the round. Furia still needs to generate a plan. Kind of weird to not see Lender getting himself in there and start opening things up. He will start to open up that line of sight, but he's not actually opened up many vertical angles. Instead, that's going to be down to highs. He picks off Patoxy through one of those angles. Bisetto still playing on Echo. Maybe he's going to have a big part to say inside of this round, as will be a Yokai drone left, I imagine. But no, he too gets taken on down. Oh. Perez, he's going to whiff his shots. He's in the 1 versus 3, and he really needs to land that, especially as it was Lender that was making that rotation down the diffuser carrier. Perez now really doesn't know which way to turn. Can he find the first? No. High shuts him down from the top of those red stairs. Higher ground, as ever, proving to be the superior angle. Furia take round number 1.
That's really frustrating at the end there if you're Perez. He was in a decent position as well, but obviously immediately gave away his location the second that he whiffed those shots. Now Black Dragons are going to be moving over to the reading site, so maybe going to mining was a bit too much of a risk. That certainly didn't work out for them. They really like this middle floor, though. I'm just waiting for Iron to select an operator, and then I guess we'll be going in. It's actually been paused, so I'm wondering if there's a... Oh no, he's picked someone.
Maybe going to hit short Rios here. We're just waiting to see what's going on. I'm still awaiting word if it's a timeout that Black Dragons have called or what exactly it is that's going on here, but we've only seen one round, and I would imagine there isn't that much really that Black Dragons have got to significantly go through.
I mean, just having a look here at even what they brought, because of course you guys can't see. So far, Black Dragons look like they're going for a Castle, Valkyrie, Jaeger, Smoke, and Mute. So the fact that they're looking to bring a Castle, assuming that they don't 6-pick off of this, that suggests that, again, they want to be setting up that deep roam. They want to be having quite a lot of placement elsewhere off of the site, which is really what you would be looking for if you're going to be defending onto reading. You can't really turtle on that site. You have to have a very strong upstairs hold because it's so important to retain control of Cocktail, particularly because that floor, as soon as that gets opened up by the attackers, they have so much control of what's going on down below them, in the reading site. That said, we are getting a 6-pick, so there won't be a Castle. It's going to be a Mirror instead, and Fantasy is going to be going over to IQ. So those Valkyrie cameras that are going to be out and about, almost definitely going to be figured out. They're going to be found. Black Dragons are going to be lacking on some of the information that they would assume would be available to them.
Let's see how the IQ works out for Fantasy. Typically plays a lot of Iana at the minute, but has been known to play IQ as well. In the context of Brazil so far, Fantasy is currently up there in terms of the highest rated players, which is, again, impressive given the amount of games that Furia have played. I know that it's something that we do keep coming back to. He's currently second highest rated and inside of the top 5 in terms of kill deaths. So, you know, not easy stats to be achieving if you're not playing that many games, particularly the KD one. It's can be quite difficult to maintain. Obviously, there's an argument to say he's played less games, so it's easier to maintain a better KD, but the rating is something that never goes away. And so far, this stage has really started to step up. I think the competition that Furia have come up against at an international level has really fired them up as a team, and it's been some invaluable experience that they can now bring into the BR6, and it's already showing to be working.
This is just one of the crazy things about Furia as well, is I know that there are slight changes to the roster since last season, but Furia were that team who were in relegations, looking to be dropping out. They won the SI Open qualifiers, so that's how they managed to make it to SIA 2021. And all of this year, they've looked incredibly powerful. They've looked fantastic. So just the flip-flop from 2020 to 2021 Furia, it's the glow-up that you love to see.
It really is. I'll never forget what Ace said to me when he was giving me the rundown on that time. He was like, you've got to watch out for this team. You've got to watch out for Furia. And he was
Ace
right.
sowed the seed in you.
He really did. He really did. He was, I think it's confirmation bias, but it's true. You know, it really is something that worked out. It's a slightly slower approach into this round. Still, you've got to try and take a lot of that vertical control. Fantasy going to see a little bit of early damage and just dip himself away, get himself back onto the relative safety that is that top floor, as we can hear the air jabs getting sent out as well. Going to be able to start gathering a little bit of information. See with the change to IQ scanner, it just makes it a little bit easier to figure out just exactly what's going on where.
Yeah, more droning. You are right. This is incredibly slow. And those defenders of Black Dragons are still upstairs. This is very late in the round to still be holding on. But going back to what I was saying at the start of the round, given how important it is as an attacker to hold control of Cocktail, the fact these defenders are up here, this is causing a big problem for Furia, and they have to clear it out. Finally, a kill comes out onto Passetto, and Fantasy's going to try and hold on to the white stairs here, prevent anyone from being able to harm them. The Toxic Babe canister does go off regardless, and they can finally get that floor open, but there's a lot of work to do here in 25 seconds.
It's a very short amount of time indeed. Furia looking to perform under this pressure. Fantasy eventually can start to make his way down white. Kill's going to continue to trade on through. Lender, how do you get away with that one? Shuts down Ion. Rare picks one up as well, and it's all of a sudden a 4 versus 2. Make it a 3 versus 1 as the shotgun will land, but it will not be successful. Highs and Rares picking up those final 2 kills. Rare was trying to get that diffuser down as well. Furia really performing quite a lot in those dying 25 seconds.
Yeah, it was, you know, an impressive usage of the time, just given that they were extremely limited for it. It took them ages to gain that upstairs control. There were still 4 players of the opposing team alive at the point at which they were, you know, using the skeleton key to actually get the floor open. Fantasy trying to hold on to the white stairs. It was a precarious place to be. You know, even just trying to hold on to the angle in through from pillar into the site laterally, and not really getting any sight on what is going on the other side of the site is quite hard. But one thing the Furia do very well is work together. They never seem to really leave each other's side if they don't need to, so they can be very coordinated in what they do. And I think that helps, or has helped, allow them to achieve some of those situations that other teams would have found very hard to see through.
Well, we move on to the top floor now. For my money, there's only a handful of rounds where the attackers don't have to spend an inordinate amount of time on this map. And this is one of them. And sometimes we don't see the top floor being preferred. We actually see the basement being preferred. But so far, Black Dragons haven't gone there yet. They've instead been very preoccupied with that middle floor. And for their third choice, they're going to take us up to the top. Again, Fury are going to look to get themselves onto the rappel and up onto the roof and lay down a couple of precautionary air jabs on the way. Castle Barricade's going to do a bit here to actually slow Furia down, as it's going to require some breaching onto it, given that we don't have a sledge in play. Furia may be looking for a bit of a white stairs push here, especially with the way that Fantasy's located. Obviously, he's going to be able to call out and remove a lot of the electronics below. The question of what he does after that is always going to be a bit of an interesting one. Actually be able to search out a defender on their camera at the time as well. So many uses for the IQ scanner.
Yeah, you saw a bunch of those mute jammers also be spotted too. So yeah, really valuable. Doesn't want to be flanked. Places down that Claymore. Going to be holding here. Fantasy, bringing the 552 commando. Shout out. That's my IQ gun of choice.
You're not a G8 gal?
No, not really.
I know the G8 was like part of the reason why IQ was so popular a couple of months ago.
Back in the day, because then everyone started playing the org, yeah. Well, Passetto, he's the first to fall. Once again, he was in the last round as well, so it puts Black Dragons in this awkward 4 versus 5 situation. Iron taken down too. It looks like this could be the time for Furia to strike. They played very patiently up until the point that they don't have to, and I feel like that point is coming pretty soon. Patoxy, he's trying to hold on to the angle down here into Fireplace, but does he even see the Claymore is there? Find himself getting caught out if he's not careful. Oh! Fantasy, that was a little bit short-sighted. Now no one has to worry about that Claymore.
Good play from Live to bring Black Dragons back into this. Certainly not the end of the world in terms of time remaining as well. Furia haven't got a great deal left. They do know that somebody's going to be on the rappel, and Live may be getting a little bit cocky and going for this one. Highs takes down Perez, and that could be the thing that stops Live from flying out of the window. He doesn't want to leave Patoxy high and dry. Patoxy instead trying to fight his way out. The C4 will go through, but it won't land. Rare, how do you get away with that? It must have just been a little bit too high. Still, splash damage does its job, and it puts Rare to one shot. He's going to try and plant the diffuser regardless. Patoxy is now joined by Live, but they're not going to be able to rotate through due to the castle barricade. That's something Furia have exploited beautifully. Only now will the castle barricade be removed, as a two-pronged rotation will start to ensue. Patoxy takes down Highs, but is immediately traded by Miracle, leaving everything for Live to do. Doesn't seem to have too much information. It's going to be full white flashed very briefly, as he's now searching for these two remaining players. He only needs to land one bullet onto Rare and then take the engagement. Tries to pre-fire his way through. Miracle with the confidence. Hits the swing and shuts him down. Furia remain unbeaten so far here on the attack.
That was very uncomfortable, and I have to go back to the point that you were making, Ollie, is, you know, with the castle barricades being left up, it meant that in the retake, it was actually quite difficult. And I think the approach that Furia, took onto attacking the site, not actually needing to go through the castle barricades because they took a route that evaded them, was very smart. I mean, even the ones that were outside on the outside windows, no, it's not like anyone was bringing, you know, a secondary soft breach charge thing. You know, I mean, IQ, you could, but Fantasy obviously brought a Claymore or whatever. So no one's going to be hot breaching in through those or anything like that. And they took in a route where they kind of could just evade them. And that worked in their favor once the post plant came into play.
No Zofia, no Sledge, nothing really to deal with those castle barricades. On paper, it's a great pick from Black Dragons, but they've just fallen victim to, you know, why Castle is so unpopular, at least in a ranked scenario, because 9 times out of 10, it hurts you as much as it hurts the enemy. In a professional, in a competitive scenario, it can still come back to bite you if you've not got a contingency for, you know, how to get around that castle barricade or what you're going to do in conjunction to that. And Furia just were like, yo, you've castled it off. That's really good. Like, thank you so much. That's so kind. We're now going to do this. And you're going to use your C4 actually to open it in the late rounds. That's another PC utility that you're going to spend. So an unfortunate situation for Black Dragons. Not something that you're going to be able to foresee, but I think Furia just adapting very well to the defense that they're presented with.
I will say I'm really glad that Black Dragons have decided not to return to mining and instead just foregone that one, skipped over it, gone back to reading. It does make me wonder if maybe we'll actually get to see a kitchen defense a little bit later on if they're going to change the 3-site rotation that they go to. But for now, it is going to be this reading defense, and they're bringing something very similar to last time. They've got the mirror once again. I'm hoping that that's going to be a better anchor than before, because that was a very nice C4. Unfortunate there for Highs. And also, oh no, I was going to say really valuable because they got the Buck. He's looking at Buck's camera. I got debated by the HUD.
It shouldn't be as big as it shouldn't be bigger than the actual
so big,
icon.
dude.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like, oh, I'm Yana, but I'm looking at Buck, but I'm Yana.
All eyes on Lender at the minute.
The real Buck.
See if he can actually get into a position. He's already been chunked down by half as well. So already this is going much better here for Black Dragons. Miracle, he's going to shut down Patoxy. Fantasy takes out Live. A C4 threatening from below, but it will not be enough. Rare just picks off Ion as he runs into the pre-fire. Seto to fall as well. Furia, when they decide to hit the site, it's devastation.
Yeah, that was brutal. And the fact that at the end, they could come round from train into Fireplace that way because no one from Black Dragons was watching. They'd been picked off so much that they all had to move their attention over towards reading. That is very typically where you're going to see the pressure applied from the attackers. And it just meant there was such an empty space on the entirety of the west side of the map that no defender was watching. So that was pretty brutal. Oh, they are going back to Purification, which is mining. I want to see a kitchen defense.
Are we just seeing some stubbornness again?
This is Capitão all over again, dude.
This is like Capitão 2.0. Like, it's difficult to tell because you don't know. We obviously don't know what the teams know. And we don't know if Black Dragons are just really uncomfortable downstairs. It would require them to roam. It would require a bit more of an extended setup, and there'd be a large distance between the roamers and the site. So maybe that's what they're worried about.
And I can see as well that with Furia banning out Kaid, that makes it a lot harder to defend downstairs. Because, you know, you want to, of course, have your denial over on the prep wall, on the bakery wall, but you need that freezer hatch. The freezer hatch has to be defended. If you don't have a Kaid, that's going to be so easy to open.
Well, maybe time will tell. Maybe we will end up down there. In the meantime, at least. Back to good old purification.
Love a bit of purification. I want to know why it's called that. I mean, I'm sure that, you know, the actual translation, if I put it into Google Translate, everybody's favorite translator, it would probably tell me. But for now, I don't know why it's called that. I just can't see how mining becomes purification.
Well, it kind of makes sense because you're taking like ore and rock and stuff and purifying it into a substance, like a material.
You know what? That's a better explanation that I would have been able to come up with myself. I'll take it. I'll take it. Regardless, Live, he's getting a bit aggressive here on Skylight. He sees him, but he can't quite land the shot. I'd say that Live is... I would say that Live has been doing the best. I mean, look at the number of kills on all of the players of Black Dragons. Even though Live just died there, he's sitting there on 5 kills. No one else is close to that. So his aggression kind of has been paying off, but no one else on the team has been able to follow up on that. And that's why we're seeing this significant weakening of Black Dragons who are just falling apart in the hands of Furia.
Yeah, the only other 5 that's consistent in the scoreline of the Black Dragons players at the moment is 5 deaths. Everybody has died every single round. 5-0 currently to Furia. If this is what their attacks look like, I almost don't even want to watch their defenses.
Look at the site.
Finally going down to the good old kitchen.
Love a bit of kitchen. Love a bit. And I think it is really important as well, the fact that they've decided to bring 2 plant denials, especially when you consider the fact that that hatch is going to be so much easier to open. You need to make the site itself as hard to play in and as hard to get through as humanly possible, because inevitably they will get onto that site.
Yeah. Live's got a massive job to play here. He's going to, I imagine on the smoke, likely be playing inside of Christmas with the freezer wall open. You're not going to want to reinforce that freezer wall because the hatch is going to be easy to get open. You're going to want to leave that soft. You're going to want to shoot some holes into that. And you're going to want to be able to hold it with a deployable shield from inside of Christmas. Toxic Babe canisters dropped in to stop people that are going to be dropping in. You can already see that wall getting open inside of freezer right now. Small rotation on through. Happy days. There he goes. It's going to be a very pressurizing position to play because Furia, of course, know this and likely going to try and push him out. Maybe looking to make an entrance in through double door, try and take over the brown stairs side of things and look to make that sort of transition on through. Playable shield going down as if on cue, and Live is all but set up, ready to play there.
I believe you're one of those people who calls VIP Christmas.
A big Christmas tree in it. It's a very...
Yeah, but so does Piano, and half the American casters call Piano Christmas. So there's 2 different Christmases. No, you might as well just have none of them be Christmas. There's 2 Christmas trees on that balcony as well, Ollie. Is the balcony Christmas? Is the Christmas trees on the roof? Is the roof Christmas?
Christmas is an inclusive call-out.
I
try and make my call-outs as inclusive as possible.
Like, there's a floor in every room. Should we start calling them all floor?
Now you're just being ridiculous.
Oh, okay. Is that not inclusive?
No.
Okay. Sorry, I clearly haven't got the hang of this naming convention just yet. But, no, other than that, everything you said, totally agree with. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Black Dragons to have a really strong VIP hold. Nice start getting that kill onto Fantasy, especially, you know, him with an F2 in hand playing Twitch would be a pretty deadly combination. So for him to be off the board, that's a great place for Black Dragons to start.
Oh, my life.
That's not.
Miracle's going to watch that back, and he's going to realize just exactly how lucky he was. Patoxi's going to watch it back, and he's going to feel like he has suffered the worst siege timing anybody has ever suffered.
That's one of those clips that if this were in ranked and it got posted on Twitter, there'd be a lot of people. There'd be a lot of people with a lot of opinions.
Yeah, Miracle's getting his tab, his R6 tab,
Where
absolutely scrutinized. Yeah,
absolutely. It was a great shot, and it evens things out here as well. You can see that Patoxi straight away hopped onto the Yokai drone, passing on as much information. Oh, he's on a black eye now. Whatever camera it may be, Patoxi's going to be there. He's on a default cam now. I think it's that one in Bakery, because you just saw it flashing. Furia haven't yet gotten rid of it. It was flashing blue, so I guess they're anticipating this push in from in through Bakery. Yeah, there we go. They finally... Rare did it. What a lad.
As his nade moves on through, but unsure if it hit its mark in terms of utility. Nice shot again from Miracle. Is he going to pick up more? No, the lining up for Miracle. It's the one tap onto Ion. Oh my goodness. He's getting away with murder here inside of this round. This is the other side of the coin though. He's just full white flashed himself, so he is human. Lender, he's going to take down Live. Perez eventually gets cut down by Highs. It was a miracle round. Quite literally.
It was a miracle round. And they didn't even need to actually worry about the hatch. I mean, Furia didn't look to come in from above. I guess they just felt like it wasn't necessary. You know, that's something that just became more and more popular as time went on, especially as Thatcher bans became more abundant, as a lot of teams looked to be going in from above. It was easier to just get that one hatch open rather than worrying about breaching onto all of these different walls that face into Bakery when you don't have you don't have the breach denial, i.e. Thatcher. So it became more popular, but I guess Furia just walked into that round thinking, we just don't need it. We don't need to worry about it. We're not going to have a problem getting in laterally. We don't need to go out of our way to do this vertically. And I mean, they were right, especially with Miracle hitting shots like that. They just had to walk in through the door. Oh my god, look at this. Oh!
I'm shaking my head.
That's illegal.
I'm fully shaking my head. Disgusting stuff from Miracle. Fantasy who? He's currently 8-1. Miracle has leapfrogged Fantasy and then some. Fantasy seems to have joined the 5 club of a couple of rounds ago. Black Dragons still...
He needs one more assist.
One more assist and he'll be there. I mean, there's only one round left. There's all the chance in the world, especially with the way that Fantasy's been playing.
Wow, I see. So you've already decided this is a 7-0.
Convince me otherwise, Gio.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying you are so... When it comes to Furia, it's like, I'm Ollie. Furia are the best team in the world. No one can ever take a map off of them. Or a round off of them. There's only one round left. I would saying it was going to be a close game.
I would be shooketh if there is more than a handful of rounds left out of this one. It's Black Dragons just look down pretty bad. And it's not just the fact that they've really been struggling. Like, they're falling victim to timing and everything. It just isn't their day. Like, the way that Patoxi died, I'd be fuming. I really would. I would be absolutely fuming if that was me. There's just nothing that you can do about it. That's not anything other than it's just not your day today, pal. And you've just got to hit that reset and come back stronger tomorrow.
They're not playing tomorrow.
Next Saturday.
As long as we're on the same page. Well, I mean, no one's died yet. A good sign. Iron did just see... who was that? Fantasy who was in Pixel? I think it was. It looked like an Aruni to me. Either way, gonna be working to clear that out. So weird how, like, the player who is at Pixel has changed over time. It'd always be like Jaeger or Wamai. Now we got an Aruni there. We got no one there.
Fantasy struggled, hasn't he, the last couple of rounds? He had a really lightning start, and then near enough always found himself as being first blood. Rare taking a chunk of damage as well. It's not often that you get somebody stood on top of that garage a sneaky angle that Live is looking to try and make use of. They can now look to try and make a rotation in. Advantage firmly in Black Dragon's hands. I honestly thought that was going to roll down and take Live out then. That would have been the indication that it really wasn't Black Dragon's day if that had happened.
Just trying to hold on this pixel angle onto Brown stairs, but Live decides to commit to going all the way up rather than heading back down. He could find himself getting flanked, though. I mean, as long as Rare knows things are safe, there's no reason to stop him from sneaking up. Miracle won't be able to perform any miracles in this round, though. He's getting naded off the map, and Fury are looking a little hard done by, I have to say, Ollie.
Well, this is a bit more like it, isn't it? Black Dragons have shown up on the attack. It's taken them long enough. They currently sit at 5 versus 2. 30 seconds left. Still chance for a monstrous clutch, and it could be starting right about now. Eyes first to fall, immediately traded though by Patoxy. Lender, have you got what it takes? He's at least got the diffuser down right now. Question is, can he keep himself alive? There's only a handful of seconds remaining, and he manages to take down Perez. This is very doable now, but no, just overextends. Patoxy shuts him down. It would have been monumental, but we'll have to save it for another round. Black Dragons finally pick one up here, Gio.
So all of that about there only being one round left, what was that? What was that again? Was that bias, Ollie? Are you a biased caster?
One round after the one round.
Are you a biased caster, Ollie?
I'm allowed to be.
That sounds like bias to me. I hope Reddit doesn't know about this.
We don't. I think the rule is if you don't live in the region, you can be biased.
Yeah, is that the rule?
I think it is. Yeah.
I think the rule is if you are so brazenly biased, then people have to let you be biased.
That's at least I don't try and hide it.
Exactly.
It's not like I'm mute my mic.
That was me with Team Empire when I worked on EU.
Exactly.
Everyone knew that I loved Team Empire and it was fine. No one questioned it.
You've just got to be bold.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Black Dragons were bold in that round. Gonna have to do it again this round. Now, this is interesting because Furia have also decided to come to Purification. So, clearly there is some idea that we have not been clicked into. We're not part of the club of people who decided that mining is back on the table, but it clearly very much is. Black Dragons, are they going to be able to do it? This is a site that Furia, you know, they obviously successfully attacked onto it both times. So maybe Black Dragons will find the same sort of success. This is the ostensibly easier attacking site.
Could be about to see an attacker-sided cafe.
Well, I think regardless of what happens, the results of the first halves are gonna put it at that anyway, Ollie. We've had 7 attacking wins on this map and no defending wins.
I mean, the stats are skewed currently. But
this is an outlier.
They may remain skewed. This is just going to mess up everybody's spreadsheets. Oh, Lender gets shut down. Oh, Curiosity really did kill the cat then.
Chunks is, we obviously have a little thing so we can communicate with each other, and Chunks has just put overtime incoming. And you know what? Knowing Brazil could totally happen.
Very unlikely, but you're right, it could happen.
You never know. Anyway, so it's Furia who have lost their first player.
Again.
A good start here for Black Dragons, just making their way in. They're going to be going for this vertical control kind of route instead, making a soft breach into Freezer there, which is an area that when Black Dragons were defending, they specifically kept open to hold lines of sight. That's something that Furia haven't done. So it suggests to them, I'd imagine, that there isn't anyone actually holding up here. They will, of course, be guided by their drones too. That's going to give Black Dragons a lot more room to work with as they're moving across this top floor.
Now start to open up these angles pretty much for free as well because of that control.
I feel like you always want to be scared of those small holes that are opened near the cigar entrance, because usually those are for the purpose of throwing C4s through.
C4s are something that Furia have quite a lot of as well, and because Fancy hasn't found himself first blood as he typically has been doing this last couple of rounds, we may actually get to see some in action, at least his. Seto knows that there's going to be a player just on that lower part of red. Ion's going to very quickly shut him down. Highs, however, is holding a super long angle, and the Alder is going to start ripping through players. Panic reloads, but remembers, I've got the Alder. I've still got 55 bullets left to go here. Patoxy, I think he got flicked on by Perez then. There was a sort of a stray tracer round that flew through the air, and then nothing much after it. Ion will be attempting the plant, but Fantasy is in position to shut him down. Patoxy could be holding that as a cross, but is now the last remaining player. Fantasy's picked up 2. Can he make it a 3rd? Nope, but it is going to be going into Rares. Hands landing on him right into his lap. Furia there, they are going to take Cafe. Almost a flawless game, but they will settle, I'm sure, for a 7-1 win here against Black Dragons.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty brutal game. Black Dragons really had a hard time when they were on their defense, and we were wondering, was this going to be an attacker-sided Cafe? Well, 87.5% of the rounds went to the attackers. So I think the answer to that is yes, and a lot of that is because Furia just played so well on that first half, especially when, you know, just given the Black Dragons, they were trying to branch out. They tried to go to mining site. They even tried to go to kitchen when things weren't going well, and at no point could they get their upper hand onto Furia.
Third time certainly was the charm. Furia coming away with the win there. We can see it's a fairly muted celebration. I don't think that they were ever really in any doubt.
Do you think Highs is that still, or do you think his camera's just broken?
Highs hasn't even blinked. That's the sort of focus that Furia were putting in onto that one. We are going to bring Chunks back in here, get ourselves an interview with Furia and have a bit of a further discussion. Little bit of a speed run that time, Chunks.
Yeah, look, Gio called me out on it. I said it was going to be close, and I think we all expected it to be. I don't think we expected it to be quite a 7-1 victory, but obviously they just had an amazing game right there. Unfortunate for Black Dragons after Ollie. They've had a good start. They've shown signs of life, but they just haven't got the wins.
Yeah, it feels like a long time ago since we saw Black Dragons get the win over in 7 rounds to 2. You know, that was a very different Black Dragons that we've not seen since. They've now suffered a 7-0 loss and a 7-1 loss since that. It really could start to spell disaster because they're not doing terrible in the standings. They're in contention for Copa, but if more results like this trickle on in, they're not going to have a chance.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but very fortunate for Furia after that game. Gio, look, we said that they didn't have the biggest celebrations at the end. I think probably 2-3 rounds ago they were already celebrating with just how strong they were looking that game.
Yeah, there is just nothing to suggest that at any point Furia thought, oh no, we're struggling. They were fine.
They absolutely were. We do have an interview right now with Twister from Furia, so get yourself in here. How was that match for you?
Hello guys, hello everyone. I believe this was a good match for us, but not just that. I believe Black Dragons played really poorly. So not just we are playing good, you know, but they were playing a little bit bad as well.
I have a question just because historically on this map, the mining and dining bomb site has not been particularly popular in pro play. Why is it both of your teams decided to defend that site today? Why is it that you decided to go there?
Probably when one bomb site it's not played for a while, there's a reason. But on this way and some other bomb sites on other maps as well, people just don't play it because they are lazy to do new strats or trying to learn a new bomb site. That's what we saw, and probably Black Dragons as well, to see that the mining bomb it's a good bomb just like the other ones in Cafe. So it's a defense map because they have four good bomb sites, not just because they have 3.
Look, Twister, I have to ask you, all right, with Siege, we see a lot of the time we have these teams that on attack, they just go for kills. They just try and clean up. And it seemed like today that was what was happening with you. Was that intentional, or was it a case of, well, we were trying to get to the bomb, but everyone was already dead by the time we got there?
Yeah, that's the point that I saw say that Black Dragons played a little bit poorly, because on this map you can play by kill and you can play by time, or you can mix both, and they were just playing by kill and they were not shooting back our players. So it was a poorly decision, and probably it was a game strat that didn't go that well.
Yeah. It was a rough one for them, but congratulations again. Nice, clean 3 points. That'll help you out in the standings, Twister. I know it was only a short interview, but there's not so much we can ask you about when there's only 8 rounds, so thank you so much for joining us once again.
Oh, thank you. Anyways, I prefer these fast matches than the others like the NIP one, because you have a less suffering. So that was a good one. I just want to say thanks for all the Furia fans and all the people that cheer for us or for me. And I would like to say that we have a pretty good new skin on the shop. So if you guys want to support Furia, go and buy it and post on Twitter.
Amazing. Thank you so much, man. Go and get yourself those skins. Support your favorite teams. That's it for game number 3. Still one more to go. It's the heavy hitter match, I think it's fair to say. FaZe Clan versus NIP. It's going to be kicking off in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.